you've heard these unusual CW characters in QSOs. Not letters or numbers, they have their own cadence and seem to occur at very specific places in CW conversations. Hi, Chris Herder, KF7WX. Today's lesson will be focusing on a unique set of CW shortcuts called procedural signals, or prosigns for short. Prosigns are a set of two characters sent with no spacing between them. We represent them either as the two characters with a bar over the top, or more commonly, the two characters bracketed. Prosigns are shortcuts for commonly used phrases. Our CW language is based on efficient information exchange, as you know, so we're always looking for ways to speed things up. Prosigns, along with our unique CW vocabulary, make continuous way of operations at least as effective as our other modes. So there's only 5 prosigns. Let's begin with the most common. BT. BT is like a period. It means the end of a sentence or phrase, but it's easier to send. So here's an example. The period in Morse code is this. And we have a couple ways we can send it. This is the way that it looks for people who are paddle slappers, and for folks that are paddle squeezers. But you can see here that you have to be right on it with this. If you are the slightest bit off, you'll end up making a mistake. So BT is sent here, and you can see it's just much easier. You'll send this with far fewer errors. So that's why it's become very common in CW grammar. So besides acting like a period ending a phrase or a sentence, it can also be sent as kind of a placeholder to let the other operator know that you're still there, but you kind of haven't figured out quite what to say next. Using BT is not absolutely necessary, since periods at the end of phrases in CW are not grammatically necessary. Think of BT as like taking a breath before starting the next thought. And so that's the case of BT used in place of a period in the sentence. So here's how it might be used during a long conversation. And so you get the idea that this operator is just kind of, thinking about what to say next. Maybe they've been in that QSO for quite a while, and it's like, okay, what do I talk about next, before he decides to ask the other station if they've ever been to Hamvention. A quick note about how I have been sending. You'll notice that my character speed is quick. It's actually 25 words a minute. But the spacing is made so that we're using an effective speed closer to 6 to 7, maybe 8 words a minute. I'm doing this intentionally. When I'm sending characters quickly, you will notice it gets kind of hard to count dots and dashes, and that is the intention. If we start having to do that when we're doing copying CW, listening to the dots and dashes and counting them, you are never going to get faster than 15 words a minute. If your goal is to get quicker, to get into those higher speed ranges, you have to train your brain to hear each character as a single collection of those sounds rather than a numerical count of how many dots or how many dashes. So you'll hear me use that very frequently during these videos. It's also an important way for us to feel comfortable at the higher speeds. So if your goal is to get to 25 words a minute, as you're working your way up, you will already kind of have a feeling what those characters are like. Your brain will have already kind of made that distinction. So it's good in a couple different ways. One last word on BT. As you become more familiar with the CW and you're sending it's faster, you'll be using BT less and less. So next prosign, SK. SK is used at the conclusion of a QSO to let the other operator know that you will not be sending any further information. SK ends the last statement in the QSO. Example. So in this case, the operator, me, letting the other station know that we are concluding the QSO, and this will be the final bit of information from me. But I'm ending with KN, meaning that I'm still sending it back to the other station, and I will be listening for their final comments. So N0EOT adds SK before and after the standard identification phrase, so effectively bracketing it, and then sends two E's as a final farewell. And as a matter of formality, I answered back with two E's as well. So here's the question for you. Why doesn't the station send QRT rather than SK to end the QSO? QRT means you're turning your radio off and leaving the shack. SK means the current QSO is at an end. So the rare DX station that's been waiting patiently for you guys to finish up can now give you a call. But if you send QRT, nobody is going to give you a call because your equipment is switched off and you're no longer at the operating position. So next is AS. AS means hold on, I'll be right back. The other operator has to switch antennas or grab some coffee or clean up the coffee that they may have spilled, but for whatever reason they need to leave the operating station, or position rather, temporarily, but they'll be right back. So there's no need to respond at all. When the operator sends AS, you just have to patiently wait. You don't have to send like a lot of question marks or a lot of dits, while you're waiting for them to come back. They will be back. And it can come at any time during a QSO because accidents happen at any time during life. So it was kind of a frantic addition of AS means you can kind of guess something sort of major that happened that he needs to get to right away. AS is an indication for hang on, I'll be right back. Be patient. AR. This is one of my favorite prosigns because of the way it sounds. It's one of the older prosigns, so you don't hear it as often as some of the others, primarily because it's a little redundant. AR means I'm done sending now, and it's your turn. It's sent at the end of an exchange, usually right before the final call sign identification. Okay, so a couple things about this. You will notice that this operator is using a little variation on the second level exchange. Second level exchange, you will recall, begins with weather, rig, and antenna. Typically, weather is, rig is, antenna is. But this operator throws a little different format into this, which is very acceptable. Rig is WID, W-I-D, vert antenna with a vertical antenna. So they're kind of including that all in one package. Rig is an IC7300 with WID, which is our shortcut for with WID vert vertical antenna, which is completely acceptable. I'm going to send the kind of the business end of that with AR again so you can appreciate how that sounds all together. So here's a trick question. If we're already ending the exchange with KN, which means I'm done sending and it's your turn, why are we sending AR, which means exactly the same thing? Because it has a nice musical sound. But there's really no other reason to use it because from a grammatical standpoint, we have already concluded the exchange with KN, which means I'm done, it's your turn. Sometimes you'll hear AR as part of a CQ call, usually from stations that have been sending for a while and haven't been answered yet. The final prosign in our lesson can be sent either as a true prosign or as two separate characters, BK. Both are grammatically correct. BK is used to interrupt the exchange and send it back to the other station to clarify something or to ask a question that you expect a simple answer to. Now, in the next exchange, we're going to use the format of separate characters because this is how you'll hear it more commonly. Okay, so that's something we got to clarify. Okay, I'm glad we got that straightened out. So this operator responds by first BK, and then he's sending hi HI. HI is kind of a laugh in CW. Often it's sent twice, HI. In this case, and in cases where you just kind of want to get back to whatever you have to get back to, you say it once. He then apologizes by sending SRI, sorry, sends his correct age, and then says BK to bring it back to the other operator. So think of BK as a way to splice an answer back into the QSO. The operator sends BK at the end of their question. The other station acknowledges this by sending BK again before they answer the question, and then BK again after answering it to send it back to the other station, and finally the other station sends BK when they get it back. Okay, so it can be a little confusing the first time you use it, but you'll get good at it very quickly, and because it's used all the time, you'll have plenty of practice. So you'll hear BK used at the end of an exchange from time to time, but don't encourage that. It's confusing and it is also bad grammar. A few operators will send BK in the form of a prosign, so it's worth knowing both ways. So let's review. Prosign BT. End of sentence, end of phrase, kind of like a period. SK. The QSO's over. I will be sending no further information. AS. Hold on, I'll be right back. AR. Your turn. Sounds cool, I think, but it's not really necessary. BK. Breaks the exchange to clarify something or ask a question, and you can send it as a prosign as well. It means the same thing, and both are grammatically correct. Thanks for your interest in CW operations. Let me finish with an invitation. The CW Operators Club offers free, live online Morse code classes that also include operations information that will take you to whatever speed is your goal. Seasoned CW operators like me will be your instructors, so you'll get more than just a lesson in Morse code with these. Visit cwops.org or send me an email. I'm Chris Herder, KF7WX, Kilo Foxtrot 7, Whiskey X-Ray. It's been a pleasure, and I hope to see you on the air soon. 73s.